Before the flood swallows the world, one god hears the verdict and faces the impossible question: can Enki save humanity from the gods without breaking the law of heaven? Beneath the oldest city, where sweet water breathes under clay, Enki keeps his throne in darkness. Eridu sleeps above him, reed huts and temple walls trembling over the hidden Abzu. Streams pour from his shoulders like living silver, and fish flash inside the sacred current. He is wisdom with wet hands, a lord of spells, tools, canals, and dangerous solutions. But the first crisis does not begin with humans crying out. It begins with gods exhausted. In the hot fields of Sumer, lesser gods drag baskets and dig canals under a killing sun. Their arms ache, their tempers crack, and their complaints rise like dust toward heaven. The great powers need order, food, temples, irrigation, and endless labor to keep their world alive. So in the deep water below Eridu, Enki sleeps while heaven begins to shake. Nama, ancient mother of waters, descends into the Abzu and wakes the dreaming god. She brings him the sound of divine rebellion, the groan of gods forced to work like servants. Enki opens his eyes, and already the answer is forming in the dark. He does not reach for thunder, fire, or a blade. He reaches for clay. From the skin of the Abzu, Nama gathers mud shining with fresh underground water. Ninma and the birth goddesses stand ready, hands raised over the clay like midwives over a secret. Enki gives the pattern, Nama shapes the substance, and breath waits over the wet earth. The first humans rise from clay, small beneath the gods, carrying the future in their backs. They're made to lift baskets, clear canals, feed temples, and keep divine cities alive. Humanity is born into work, and Enki knows exactly what he has done. He has solved one crisis by creating another power the gods cannot fully control. At a feast, beer foams in deep cups, and pride begins to loosen every immortal tongue. Ninma shapes bodies that tremble, falter, or lack the gifts others take for granted. The room watches for shame, but Enki bends over each new life with terrible calm. He assigns each person a place, a food, a shelter, a way to belong. Even flaw becomes fate in his hands, and fate becomes a hidden form of mercy. But mercy is never simple in the courts of the gods. The humans multiply, their canals stretch, their fires glitter, their voices thicken across the plain. Cities rise like baked clay dreams, Eridu first, then others under the bright command of heaven. Kingship descends, crowns shine, and the black-headed people fill the land with noise. To Enki, their noise is life, work, prayer, hunger, childbirth, and smoke from evening meals. To Enlil, high ruler of command, it becomes an insult that never ends. The assembly gathers above the world, cold as stars and older than pity. Enlil wants silence restored, and the silence he imagines has no human voices inside it. A decree forms in heaven, sealed by oaths, heavy enough to drown the earth. Enki hears it, and the deep waters around him seem to stop moving. He helped fashion these fragile workers from clay and mead. Now the gods will erase them. If he defies the assembly, he breaks the order that holds heaven together. If he obeys, the canals empty, the temples darken, and humanity vanishes underwater. This is Enki's true danger, not kindness alone, but intelligence under pressure. He searches for a crack in the law, a narrow place where mercy can breathe. In Shurupak, Zusudra serves the gods, listening carefully to dreams, omens, and temple silence. Enki cannot warn him face to face, because heaven has bound every divine tongue. So the Lord of the Abzu turns toward a reed wall in the dark. He speaks to the wall, and the wall carries the warning to the listening man. Tear down the house, build the great boat, gather the seed of life. No oath is broken, yet the command passes through clay, reed, and breath. This is how Enki fights, not with rebellion shouted in heaven, but with a loophole whispered sideways. Ziusudra obeys while the sky still looks innocent and neighbors still measure grain in sunlight. He builds in dread, plank over plank, sealing his future against a storm no one believes. Animals are gathered, seed is guarded, and the boat becomes a floating memory of Earth. Then the first black clouds climb the horizon like gods arriving without faces. The storm breaks and the world becomes water, wind, darkness, and the roar of judgment. For 7 days and 7 nights, the boat shudders beneath a sky that has lost mercy. Cities vanish into rain, fields become mirrors, and temples disappear beneath the furious flood. Inside the vessel, Ziusudra waits with the breath of living things pressed close around him. Somewhere below the churning deep, Enki listens to the cost of his own cunning. He has saved a seed, but he has not stopped the terror. The gods wanted silence, and for one terrible week, the world almost gives it to them. Then the storm weakens, as if heaven itself has run out of rage. A pale edge of sunlight breaks through cloud, and Ziusudra steps into a washed, emptied world. He raises sacrifice to Utu, the returning sun, because light has become unbelievable. Smoke climbs into the clean air, thin and trembling, proof that humanity still breathes. The gods gather again, but this time, the evidence rises before them in fragrant smoke. Enlil sees the survivor, the animals, the guarded seed, and the law bent without breaking. Anger flashes across heaven, but the world has already changed around that single boat. And Enlil grant Ziusudra life like a god, and send him to distant Dilmun. Humanity remains on Earth, scarred by water, watched by gods, and alive because Enki thought sideways. Yet the secret of Enki is larger than the flood. He does not simply save people from death. He holds the powers that make civilization possible. He holds the powers that make civilization possible. Kingship, craft, music, judgment, desire, and wisdom. These powers rest in Eridu like sealed jars in the house of deep water. Then Inanna comes from Uruk, bright, hungry, and impossible to dismiss. At Enki's feast, cups are filled, songs rise, and caution loosens its grip. One by one, the powers pass into Inanna's hands, shining like stolen stars. She loads them onto her boat and turns toward Uruk before regret can catch her. Enki wakes to loss, sends powers after her, and watches the river answer another will. The gifts of civilization leave Eridu, and the world grows wider than its keeper intended. This is why Enki cannot be flattened into a simple savior. He creates humans to serve the gods, then protects them when the gods regret their own design. He guards sacred powers, then loses them through drink, generosity, pride, or destiny. He respects divine law, then bends it until compassion slips through. In every story, Enki stands near water because water remembers the shape of every container. It fills canals, temples, bodies, boats, and cracks in the decrees of heaven. The real truth is not that Enki comes from stars, darkness, or later fears. The real truth is stranger. Mesopotamia imagined wisdom as dangerous because wisdom can serve power or quietly betray it. Enki saves humanity because he understands the gods and he understands the loophole inside mercy. So can one god save humanity from the gods without breaking the law of heaven? Enki answers from the Abzu, where the deep water still moves under the earth. He cannot stop the flood from coming. He makes sure someone is there after it ends.